Let the truth resonate. With Gerod on the mic, we're rewriting our fate. In New Orleans, the power is ours to embrace. Keep it real, keep it loud, let's uplift this place. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold in the city you know. Yeah, we're reclaiming our soul. Yeah, let the truth resonate with Gerod on the mic. We're rewriting our fate. In New Orleans, the power is ours to embrace. Keep it real, keep it loud, let's uplift this place.
Now, see what happens when he comes in here walking all slow and stuff. We take the show over. Right, Suzette?
What are you saying?
Can't nobody hear him.
Right, Suzette? We take the show over.
Huh?
We take the show over.
Okay, go ahead. Talk for 2.5 hours by yourself.
I got Suzette right here.
Don't say nothing.
No, no.
You take it over.
No, because you know I'll start playing music.
No.
Oh, no.
No. You want to take the show
I will
over,
start
but
playing
that ain't
music.
the show. Nah.
You know I will.
Nah. What's
In
that?
your high chair.
Everything is happening.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Malcolm X is back in the building.
We all need to be Malcolm X right about now.
By any means necessary.
Absolutely, by any means necessary.
You see me walking up in here, huh?
Yeah, you were walking rather slow.
Yeah, I'm tired now.
You tired?
I had 502 things. I got 2 of them done. I got 2 of them done. But no, just leaving the law firm. She leave before I do.
Say, bro, why don't you
Because
do
I
something
like
about
to
the
be
chair?
on
Because
time.
I like to be on time too, but I got to finish.
To be on time is to be late.
Mm-hmm.
To be early
Early
is
is
to be
on
on time.
Oh, Lord.
Drumline.
I'm late. I'm way late. Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, let me just say this. We're late to the political party, okay? At 4:45 a.m., after nearly 10 hours of debate, a 5-1 map that reduces Democrat and Black congressional representation in the state advanced out of the House committee on a 4-3 party line vote. Truly shameful. Absolutely shameful. Okay? Today, we're going to have a conversation that many people seem to be uncomfortable with having publicly. But Gerod and I have been having this conversation for several months
Better get
publicly. This is about power, politics, race, and New Orleans. What is unfolding right now over the Orleans Parish Clerk's Office, over the Congressional District for Troy Carter, over the judgeships in Orleans Parish, is not just about economy and efficiency.
No, it's takeover.
It is a takeover. It is a hostile takeover.
Yep.
It is about race. It is about political power. It is about who controls New Orleans. And it's about whether the votes of the people in the city of New Orleans still matter.
You know what it's really about? Superiority. That's what it boils down to. They want to feel that we're superior than, we're over you. We're better than you. That's what it is, superiority.
Yeah, it's white
White supremacy.
Yep.
A majority Black city overwhelmingly elected Calvin Duncan with nearly 70% of the vote. Then before he could even take office, the legislature eliminated the position he won. Now we're watching lawsuits fly in state court and in federal court. We're watching the attorney general threaten local officials with removal from office. We're watching the mayor publicly accuse the attorney general of intimidation. And we are watching ordinary citizens become increasingly alarmed and involved in what they correctly perceive to be an effort to strip New Orleans of political autonomy.
Wait a minute. The governor is threatening
Yes.
the attorney general?
Yes, the attorney general has now threatened the mayor of the city of New Orleans and several city council
Yeah,
members.
but not the governor.
Not the governor.
Yeah, but you said the governor. That's why I was
No. The mayor and several city council people. She has threatened to remove them from office, and now a recall petition has been filed against the attorney general to remove her too.
Really?
Oh yes, and she should go too. The same organizers of the recall effort for the governor are now trying to recall the attorney general. Bravo, bravo, let's go.
Discard them.
We are a hot mess.
Discard them.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. You know, and so today we're asking some hard questions. Is this really about government efficiency? Can you really make that good faith
It's about
argument?
race.
It's about race. It is about turning back the hands of time and putting us back pre-civil rights movement.
I was glad to see that all the congressmen that this state has had came together and addressed the legislature. What's alarming to me about it, though, was the fact that they dated it back from 1877 to current to say that the number of black congressmen that have been representing the state of Louisiana from then to now were sitting at that table. Bill Jefferson, Troy Carter, Cedric Richmond. I had a brain fart. I don't know what that was. We had one more who was like Cleo Fields.
Correct.
I was like, wow, this is all we
And
had?
everything they had to say did not matter to the 5 individuals on the SGA committee in Louisiana last night. One supportive card and hundreds in opposition, and they still passed the bill with little emotion, little remorse for the pain and anguish it would cause to an entire population in the state of Louisiana. And this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning.
But I do think that what has to happen now is not only just recalling those 2 officials. I think you got to put a recall into a bunch of those officials, because it's apparent to me that not only black people, but white people as well are getting in on these recalls.
Absolutely. I was in line this morning. I got in line at 9:30 in Algiers. Doors opened, and I was able to get in and out in 5 minutes to sign the recall petition. But I have to say that while I was standing in line, I was joined in line by white people, black people, old people, young people, Democrats and Republicans to sign a recall petition.
Yeah.
I went down to the one on Old Gentilly before I came here, thinking, I might be able to get in and out quick. That line was 3/4 of a block long. You could barely drive down Old Gentilly because people were parking just any kind of way to get to that place.
Look, I think people are finally waking up and finally realizing that our civil rights are being trampled upon, that New Orleans is being pushed into a position of hostile takeover, that our elected officials here have failed us, some of them, by not fighting hard enough before all this came down the pipe. This is horrible. And here we are. Historically, New Orleans has had a separate civil and criminal clerk system, which is unique within Louisiana. And here we are. We now have the clerk of civil court, Chelsea Napoleon, filing a lawsuit against the mayor and the council for forcing an election between her and Calvin Duncan. And we have a lot of pushback against Chelsea Napoleon on social media because the lawyer she hired to file that lawsuit was a Landry supporter. Black female Landry supporter. People are looking at that and wondering why. Of all the lawyers in this city, of all the lawyers in this state, why do you have the lawyer who did commercials supporting Jeff Landry, who did ads supporting Jeff Landry?
I wonder, did she know? Maybe she wasn't paying attention. I do know one thing. She's pretty pissed off.
I get that, and I understand her position. I completely understand her position.
But you got to know where you are.
But you got to know what you're doing.
You got to read the room.
You got to read the room. And picking a lawyer who is a supporter of Jeff Landry right now was the wrong move for you.
Mm-hmm. But I do think, now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not going to sit up here and I'm not going to say anything bad about Miss Napoleon because of the fact that I do support her too. But I do think that they're wrong. Do you?
Look, we should not be in a position where we have two great, duly
two great
elected
people, right?
clerks of court having to vie for one position. While I understand the calling of a special election, our mayor has called it to fill the joint clerk seat created by the state legislature. I'm extremely frustrated that such an election is now needed.
But here's my question. This is not the first time that New Orleans has been in a position where we had to combine offices. If you go back and just think for a minute, did we have to go back and redo election, or did they call for a special election when we had a civil sheriff and a criminal sheriff, and that office got combined by the criminal sheriff, and I think Mr. Valto was the civil sheriff at that time. They didn't call for a special election during that time. So if you violated those laws, and you're telling me that you violated those laws, what's the difference between then and now? And the other part is, the law is being read as you created a new position. They didn't create a new position. They just gave her more duties and gave her the title of that other position.
They got rid of a position.
Yep.
Okay. And I have, I said on the show the other day, I think Chelsea has done a fantastic
sure
job
did.
as the Orleans Parish civil sheriff.
No, it's not civil sheriff.
I'm sorry, civil
Civil
clerk.
clerk. Mm-hmm.
I think she has done a fantastic job. She has automated the system. It is very well run. It is a well-oiled machine, okay? And I also think she's a great civil servant. I see her everywhere, serving, showing up for the community. I have nothing negative to say about Clerk of Court Napoleon. She's done a great job, and she was duly elected. Calvin Duncan was also duly elected.
Mm-hmm.
We should not be in a position where we will be disenfranchised from our right to vote. We voted for both of these clerks. There is no reason why both of them should not be able to serve the citizens of New Orleans. Our mayor and city council should have been fighting tooth and nail to prevent us from getting into this position. The truth is, they dropped the ball. They did not. And here we are. We are in this position where our vote has been disenfranchised. Shame on them for not fighting harder when it counted.
But what I can do, if I'm the mending piece of this, what I would do if I'm Jeff Landry is put y'all against each other. Then the fight.
But that's exactly what they've done.
The fight will end up being between y'all instead of everybody being against me. What he didn't count on in this fight was that these two young ladies were smart enough to say, we know that's you, and all of us know that's you, and you're trying to put deception in between us. Well, we're going to get you first.
I think a better legal strategy would not have been for Chelsea to sue the mayor and the council saying that she should be able to keep the seat. It should have been for Chelsea and Calvin Duncan to jointly sue the governor and the legislature. We should not have a position where we can only have one.
But it's not them. This was a whatchamacallit? This was a task that was put forth by the council and the mayor. This wasn't put forth by Jeff Landry. So they made it clear.
Well, they should have jointly sued the mayor and the council.
They did. I'm saying that's what Chelsea did.
Chelsea did it, but she should have done it with Calvin.
I think that Calvin probably do it too.
They should have been in the same suit.
Mm-hmm.
They should not have been divided and conquered.
But they were removing her as of Monday from her seat. That's why they put a interim, which was Judge Calvin Johnson, in place. So I don't know the intricacies. I tried to, and I'll tell everybody, the minute this stuff happens, I'm going to send them a message. I need to talk to you. Need to find out what happened. I did not get the reply from Duncan. I have not received any type of reply from Duncan at all since he has been running for office. And I'm a little upset about that myself. And I don't have a problem telling nobody that this man has not replied to anything that black media has stated that they want to talk to him about. But he replied to everybody else. I got a problem with that.
And I know you do. And I think that's a problem, too. As a matter of fact, I think it's a problem that our mayor only goes to the white station and won't come here to talk to the black constituents. But here's the real danger I see.
But I don't think that's what that is. I think that's got something to do more so with the ownership than the constituents that she's not talking to. Now, be the bigger person and get your feelings. Put your big girl drawers on and come over here and talk to your people. You have a job to do. Right. Talk to your people.
You have a job to do. There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in politics. You got a job to do.
Not the baseball.
Yeah. Here's the real danger. The danger is not simply whether Duncan wins or whether Napoleon wins or whether the election occurs. The danger is what happens when ordinary citizens lose their right to vote and lose their faith in the democratic process itself. Because people are now asking, if we vote and the office disappears anyway, what does our vote protect? If local leaders can be threatened with removal over legal disagreements with the state, who really has power? If statewide officials can repeatedly override local political decisions, what does local autonomy even mean? The Republicans kept saying they were pro-local autonomy. Well, you don't look like it. Democracy has become very fragile when people begin believing that participation in elections no longer matters. And that's what it's feeling like right now. And once people stop believing their vote matters, the entire system weakens.
But hadn't it been that way? How many times, how many years, how many days or months have we always heard, I ain't going to vote, it don't matter if I vote or not anyway?
I'm tired of hearing that song because now they ought to see everybody who voted for Trump, everybody who didn't vote for Kamala, everybody who stayed home because they didn't want to vote for Kamala and they didn't want to vote for Trump. Look where you got us. Everybody who would not vote for Sean Wilson, everybody who stayed home because you didn't think your vote mattered, look where you got us.
I'll just say to him, shut the hell up. You don't have the right to complain.
Your complacency has cost you your civil liberty.
Yep.
Your complacency has jeopardized the future of your children and your grandchildren. Your complacency has now made us second-class citizens in a country we built.
Yep.
All right, here we go. On the same day that Attorney General Liz Merrill threatened to remove city officials from office over the ongoing clerk of court dispute, a recall petition was filed against her. Wednesday, the Louisiana Secretary of State's office confirmed it has received a petition to recall Merrill, starting a 180-day window, with organizers to recall voters' signatures. The petition was filed by Mariam Bawan and Caitlin Stepter.
Those are the same people who have filed the recall.
Same women who filed the recall petition against Jeff Landry last week. The new petition against Merrill spans all 64 parishes. The official filing states that the reason for the petition, lack of fairness and accountability, using taxpayer dollars to push personal religious and political agendas, pushing religion to public schools, undermining the voices of voters in majority black communities, and government overreach into women's health care decisions. Because it is statewide, Louisiana law requires signatures 20%, which will again be another 500,590 valid signatures by November the 9th. That's through the Secretary of State's office. So we'll see. We shall see. What you think?
I
What do
hope
I
it
think
happens.
about
You
what?
think that's going to happen too?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they need
Everybody's
to go.
tired.
I think people are sick and tired, and I think they've finally woken up to realize that last night I'm sitting down, I'm holding my grandson, and I realized that my grandson has less civil rights than I had.
Yep.
Okay? I
And-
think we all need to realize that. And, we kept saying this, and people didn't get it. We kept saying, oh, I was on this show, I was talking about they were coming for the brown people. And everybody kept calling in and saying, oh, that's not our issue. That's the brown people. And I kept saying, they're coming for the black people next.
Yep.
And y'all didn't listen. They were coming for the black people next. Now I'm telling you, ladies, they're coming for
Complacency.
women too.
Complacency.
We need to get on the same page.
And with
If-
women, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, orange, or green.
It does not matter. If you are not a billionaire, rich white man in this country, you are under attack.
Donna just sent me a text. 7124 St. Claude tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. That's where you can do your signatures. That's
They're
who said she's going.
expanding the locations, and they need to. But I'd also like them to think about having these petitions outside of the Jazz Fest, having these petitions outside of the
Essence.
Zulu Anniversary Parade, having these petitions outside of the Zulu Election Day,
Essence.
having these petitions outside of Essence, having these petitions.
Every public function.
Exactly. You may not be able to get inside of a church parking lot or on a church property, but you can certainly stand on the sidewalk outside of the church and not jeopardize their 501c3 status. Okay? We need to start thinking strategically about where large populations gather, and we need to start signing this petition where large populations gather.
I just got a text message from Dawn saying they're collecting signatures in Chalmette too, at Torres Park, behind the Civic Center until 5.
That's poetic justice right there.
Yeah, ain't that something? Said no lines. Same couple that was collecting at Sisters. So they there till 5.
This is the most important thing you can do right now, okay, is go sign these recall petitions.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're still under the bridge at St. Philip and Claiborne collecting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw a flyer online for that.
I was trying to figure out what happened to our flower we had in here.
So I'm really hoping, I think it's about Wick, I'm really hoping that everybody within the sound of my voice is going to sign the petition and calling several family members and friends to make sure that they go sign the petition. If we can all just be captains of our neighborhood, getting our neighborhood to go out and sign the petition, it is very, very important, because right now power is operating through intimidation, through fear, through political pressure, through the message that challenging authority is going to come with consequences. And we can't stand for it. We cannot stand for it. The solution must be organization, participation, education, and voting in overwhelming numbers.
All right. Me and Malcolm X will be right back.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Myself, along with Malcolm, we're in the building today.
You can call me Malcolm. By any means necessary is where I'm at.
I love to see you when you're on fire,
So
though.
let
but
me
that's
just-
what I like.
Malquette.
Let me
I like
just
to see
say-
when you're on fire.
Now, Malcolm, Malquette.
Let me
That's
give.
Malcolm.
let me- I want to give a few suggestions that I think might make this recall more successful. Because what we don't want is a failed recall effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if people truly want to organize an effective recall movement, they must understand something immediately. This cannot be emotional chaos. It cannot be just social media outrage, and it cannot be limited to New Orleans. This recall effort in Louisiana is going to require a military level organization, legal precision, messaging discipline, fundraising, voter education, and a statewide coalition being built. The numbers alone make that clear. Under Louisiana law, a statewide recall requires signatures equal to approximately 20% of the registered voters in the state. So that means 500,000 signatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these need to be real signatures from registered voters, verified parish by parish. So the first mistake I think movements make is believing that passion alone is enough. You need infrastructure. So this is what I suggest. I think they need regional captains, parish coordinators, volunteer coordinators, a legal compliance team that's going back and verifying these people,
Before they turn it into the Secretary of State.
a communications media team,
Mm-hmm.
a fundraising team, and a data and voter registration team. If I were organizing this effort, I think those are the categories that I would try to set up. And this cannot operate as one central personality-driven movement. It's got to be structured, and it's got to be a statewide coalition. The messaging has to be very clear. It can't just be that we're angry. That's not enough. The messaging must consistently focus on protecting democracy, protecting voting rights, defending local control,
Which I think
opposing political retaliation.
Which I think the young ladies put in perspective when we read.
Yes.
These are the reasons why we're
Yes.
doing this recall.
But we too, when we are posting on social media, we need to say these things, okay? Preserving fair representation, stopping government overreach, because these are things that will appeal to a larger audience.
Mhm.
And truth be told, Black people, we cannot do this alone. We're going to need other signatures
Right.
to reach the $500,000, 500,000 person mark.
Which we're seeing.
Right, which we're seeing.
Mhm.
But we need to also keep posting these things. If you want to help, start posting on social media about these clear messaging topics.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need to build a broad coalition. It can't be New Orleans versus Louisiana. That's not going to win.
That's
right?
going through every parish.
Right. It's got to be a coalition that includes Democrats, independents,
Mhm.
moderate Republicans, clergy, labor groups, civil rights organizations, students. We need to hit these colleges, educators, business owners, retired voters, and formerly incarcerated advocates, community organizations.
Mhm.
We need all of these people at the table. And I think they're doing a good job with this. They need to continue to define physical locations where people can reliably sign petitions, like, outside of churches, barbershops, beauty salons, community centers, festivals, second lines, college campuses, union halls, and civic organizations. Even nightclubs. If they're willing to open up the doors and let us come in there and get people in there for a party with a purpose, let's do it, right? We need to leverage our social aid and pleasure clubs, these Mardi Gras organizations, Divine Nine organizations. Where are you? Where are you? I need to see you out here. You need some programming going on right now, okay? Churches, neighborhood associations, alumni networks, cultural groups, civic advocacy groups. Everybody should have a plan that they are implementing, okay? This is critical. Many people are angry online, but they're not registered voters. They need to get registered. If you need to check to see if you're still on the polls. We had somebody yesterday who
was
fell
not,
off.
But she went back today
Right.
to make sure.
So if you think you're off the polls, you need to get that fixed. So, we need to dominate the media. We're doing the job on WBOK. We've been doing it for months. But where are these other radio stations and television stations? I hear crickets.
Now they MAGA.
Okay? But they should realize that this is an issue for democracy. They should all be getting involved because this is an issue for democracy.
I'm looking at Shreveport online. I'm looking at the television stations online for Shreveport. You know who's standing in line?
I see who's standing in line. And I'm happy to see they're standing in line.
White
because that's
people.
the only way this effort is going to be successful. Okay? Is if it includes a broad base of support. Okay? So, and then we need to prepare for warfare, people. We see the retaliation. Okay? We saw them kick or him resign. I don't know which it is. I've heard he got kicked off the committee, and I've heard he resigned.
He resigned.
Gary Carter.
Carter.
Okay? But why resign at a time like this when we really needed you there? Okay? To me, that wasn't the right move. Now, I'm happy Royce DePlessis stepped up, but it sure wasn't the time to resign.
Well,
I would have
prepared a
felt
statement.
better. I would have felt better with him kicking him off than him resigning at a time like this. Well, where would we be if our civil rights leaders in the 60s resigned? I didn't know that was an option.
Well, it probably went through something that wouldn't help him at all, which probably, I don't know if they threatened him. I know they started threatening Jay Morris and his family.
That's the job, man.
Yeah.
That's the job at a time like this. Okay? It's not going to be easy. You may get threatened. That's the job. Dr. King was threatened.
Yep.
Okay? It's the job.
Yep.
So, look, there are going to be legal challenges. There's going to be signature scrutiny. There's going to be political attacks. There's going to be media narratives. They're going to attack you. They're going to attack these two women who have organized this, and we need to stand behind them.
Yeah. I mean, they threaten us. We get them. We get them
Well,
online.
we get the threats all the time.
Stupidity.
Yeah, we get it all the time. But we've got to continue to stand up. We've got to continue to stand up.
I know yesterday's conversation was a lot with people talking about how many people showed up at just one location. And they said it was several thousand that signed a petition over at Chicken's Kitchen. I had to say it that way.
You have to say it that way?
Yeah, Chicken's Kitchen. So several thousand that signed up over there, and they had a couple of thousand, I think, that signed up over at Algiers at Gwanji's building. Somebody wrote online also. Let me go ahead on and address this. Somebody asked the question, which is a legitimate question. Where can somebody sign up that may be handicapped? I can tell you that just knowing the building that we're talking about over in Algiers, which was my friend Gwanja Richardson's building, and I know this is where A.A. Ron and all the good folks and Brother Malik are doing good things over there now. We definitely know that is a handicap accessible building. So, if whether you're trying to walk in, roll in, whatever it is a handicap accessible building, so you can go over there and register. All right, Sid, what you say?
Hello, good evening, Counselor. Good evening, Gerard and Wick, and to our listening audience. I have a very important public service announcement. I just want people to please, when you're putting things on social media, watch your wording. Certain words trigger them to investigate you. And if you're saying words like bomb or whatever, you're putting a target on your back. I can't talk more right now at liberty of what's happening to someone we all know, but please, even in your disgust, in your frustration, watch your wording. Thank y'all for letting me say that.
You said somebody we all know.
You said somebody we all know?
Somebody we know. Something is going on, but I don't want to say anything publicly until I'm notified by their spouse. But a caution to everybody on social media, watch your terminology. Think before you say, and also think about how people, unfortunately, are going to interpret what you're saying, but watch your wording. And thank y'all for allowing me to say that. It's that serious. These people are not playing. It's that serious. They will label you as a terrorist or a fugitive quickly. It's this serious.
This is why I talked about social media messaging today. I think if we're going to help the cause, our social media messaging needs to be very clear that this is about democracy. This is about fairness. This is about, voting rights. It has to be very broadly stated, and it cannot be emotional in delivery.
And that's what it is, because the situation was surrounded what's happening with the criminal clerk of courts. But a word was said, and nevertheless, y'all, watch what you're saying. And thank y'all again. Y'all have a good one.
All right, Sid. I do think that Miss, what's her name, Caitlin, and also Miss Gabon did their messaging correct.
It's not them I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I'm talking about the fact that everybody's starting to post about this now. As I'm happy that they're posting.
But you gotta watch what you say.
I need to make sure the messaging, though, is going to be helpful to us to build coalitions and not going to turn people away, right? So the movement is strongest when we are posting about protecting democracy, protecting voting rights, defending local control, opposing political retaliation, preserving fair representation, and stopping government overreach. Those are messages that will be accepted well by a broader audience and will advance our cause. Okay? We need to be very clear. We need to be strategic. That's the word I want to use, strategic. Okay? We are engaged in a battle, and we need to be very strategic in our messaging, in our planning, in our execution right now. We don't want to lose the battle because we have misspoken or because we are giving an argument based on emotion and not based upon facts.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Ron. Hey, Ron.
What's going on, G?
What's happening with you?
What's going on? Me extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's me extraordinaire. That's Malcolm X extraordinaire right here.
Yeah, you're right. Now, I just want to say, man, that is exactly what you just said, me extraordinaire. That's why political education is a must. And when I say political education, I'm just not talking about solely just based on elections. I'm talking about political education, meaning you have the wherewithal to understand and understand what's going on and why what's going on is going on. We have to learn a difference from reacting and responding. A lot of times in this era that we are in right now, we so emotional and we not thinking. We just saying stuff and not realizing the impact on what it is that we are saying, and especially with a political understanding and political education, you will understand that COINTELPRO ain't never went nowhere. All it did, they just beefed it up. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to do a better job and understand that this beast that we constantly fight on a daily basis, they are coming up with all kind of ways to discredit us. But we got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Like I said last week, these people, this beast that we constantly fight, they have the ability and been having the ability to have 100 of us in one room. And they come in and put 28 cookies on the table. And instead of us fighting the beast that's putting the 28 cookies on the table, we fighting each other trying to see who's going to get the bigger piece, or how can I cut through my fellow brother or sister so I can get more and they can get less. But we just got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe and realize who the enemy is, and that way we focus on them instead of focusing on each other.
Look, I've been organizing communities since 1993, and one lesson has remained constant. When you are fighting Goliath, you cannot afford to fight recklessly. You must be strategic. You must understand power, how it operates, how it protects itself, how it controls the narratives, how it divides people, and how it counts on communities to become emotionally exhausted before real change occurs. Movements will fail when they become reactive instead of strategic. So, we need to have voter education and coalition building and a media strategy and a legal strategy and turnout operations and fundraising, leadership development, and a disciplined message. We don't want to lose people on the front lines because they put a post up or they've said something that makes them sound reckless.
Exactly. And what you said about the leadership, that is a must. And one thing about this movement that's going on with this recall that's different is that it's more community-based. Them sisters, they came on and said they don't have no personal political admiration or none of that kind of stuff like that. They was just tired of being sick and tired. And the community is behind. Matter of fact, the sister Miriam, she put up a post about certain things that she needed, and the community came together. They ain't call her and got, did this, that, and the third. They got together and went to Amazon and bought the stuff she needed and delivered it straight to her address. This movement that's going on right now is totally being driven by people power, and it's showing. And we have to be careful that we don't allow the enemy to come in and distract, distort, deceive, and whatever that other D is that Brother Oliver Thomas is always talking about, the 4 Ds, you know what I'm saying? Sun Tzu, he said in his book, In the Art of War, that the battle must be won before the first boot even get on a battlefield. So we got to know our enemy, who our enemy is.
Exactly.
All right, man. Y'all keep on doing what y'all doing, man.
Look,
All right,
I want to
brother.
address something that has been posted on our Facebook live stream. A president of a D9 organization wrote a message reply saying that the D9s, and when I say D9s, I need you to know I mean Black Greek letter organizations, cannot organize the political movement. Okay, that goes without saying, but you're smart enough to know what to do. Okay, Dr. King was an Alpha Phi Alpha member, but he didn't organize under Alpha Phi Alpha. He organized as an individual. He had another organization that he utilized,
SCLC.
the SCLC, in order to implement his agenda.
Right.
So individual members can organize, can advocate, can endorse candidates personally, can volunteer, can mobilize voters, can host forums, and can participate in political movements without naming their organization.
All right, Malcolm.
I need to check your blood pressure.
I'm cool, baby.
You
I'm
cool?
cool.
She hasn't turned red
I'm
yet.
in it for the long
She-
haul.
she ain't
I'm
turned
in
red
it
yet.
for
she
the
hasn't turned
long
redder.
haul.
Oh, redder, and there you go. More coming up, folks. Everybody hold tight. No, you didn't.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time. Weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
I'm Cynthia Willard Lewis, and I encourage you to vote Nick Alvarez. He will protect Louisiana families and fight for lower health care costs for everyone. Vote Nick for U.S. Senate.
I'm Nick Alvarez, and I approve this message.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org, heart of the city.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
If you had $1 million, would you leave it to an 18-year-old?
Hopefully not, but that's exactly what can happen with a simple will. The money goes straight to your kids when they hit the legal age, no guardrails.
A trust lets you control when and how they receive their inheritance. You can set ages, milestones, or even make sure they finish school first.
Give them security, not a spending spree.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-571-9955. That's 800-571-9955. 800-571-9955.
WBOK. Online at WBOK1230.com. Here we go. The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Petition has been filed against Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry. Now, organizers say Landry's actions and public statements show a pattern that undermines fair representation and misaligns state priorities away from community needs, focusing on punitive approaches instead of long-term solutions. The campaign estimates it'll need about 600,000 valid signatures from registered voters across the state to move forward. Now, Louisiana law requires all signatures to be collected in person and then verified by the Secretary of State.
Governor Jeff Landry decided to suspend the Louisiana primaries based on the Supreme Court's decision about the Voting Rights Act, and that is an intentional disenfranchisement of black voters in Louisiana, and we are not going to have that.
Now, organizers say the petition has been submitted through the proper channels and will now move ahead under the state's recall procedures.
Good afternoon.
All right, folks, we're back. We thank them for letting us use their audio here.
Can I say one more thing about these D9s?
Mm-hmm.
If I can.
They made you mad.
No, they're not making me mad. I want to educate if I have to educate, but they should already know this. The key is that there are things you cannot endorse or oppose a candidate for office. You cannot directly participate in a partisan campaign activity, and you cannot coordinate with campaigns. That jeopardizes 501c3 nonprofit status. However, the D9s, you can conduct nonpartisan voter registration, which would be very helpful.
Right.
You can host civic education forums about the process. You can educate voters on the issues. You can encourage voting. You can hold forums. You can advocate around public policy issues. You can do all of these things, okay? So there are things that you can do. And as individuals, you can lead the fight.
You can do what you want to do. You're
Okay.
not, as long as you're not saying I'm walking in representing AKAs,
right,
Deltas, or anybody else. You're representing your own person.
Right. Coretta Scott King was an AKA, but when she was involved in political action, she was Coretta Scott King. Okay? Dutch Morial was an alpha, but when he was involved in political activity, he was Dutch Morial. Ralph Abernathy was an alpha, but he also was Ralph Abernathy when he was doing his political action. You know, Ben Crump is an Omega, but he doesn't act on behalf of Omega Psi-Phi. He acts as Ben Crump when he is out here calling for political action. There are things that we can do. Use your education, use your experience, and be an advocate. Don't give me an excuse, because excuses are tools of incompetence used to build monuments to nothing, and those who specialize in them seldom do anything else.
There you go. Hey, Mr. Burden.
Go, girl. You got it. Go with it.
That's what you're doing?
Go, girl. Keep it up. We got to fight like hell. And let me tell you something. Every family member in your family, you got to go out there and make sure your driver's license match your registration. Don't give them no excuse to send it back. Say it's no good. But I just love Susan. Everything you're saying. We part of the movement, and we making sure. The only thing I don't like about this movement, we need to have people at every church on a Sunday signing people up.
Mm-hmm.
Every church in the city of New Orleans. We got to kick his you know what.
Now, one of the things I will say, though, Mr. Burden, one of the things is absolutely you are correct. But I think why we're not seeing the churches say we're going to be inside, it's because of their 501c3 status, too. But they do not have to be inside the church. They can be just like you did when you did the voter registration stuff right outside of Fisher.
Right.
You and your folks were in the parking lot and on the side on the sidewalk area, and you had your tent and you had your tables.
And I would be on the sidewalk. I wouldn't even be on the church parking lot. I would be on the sidewalk out front. That's public property.
But you know what else? What's wrong with us doing like we used to do? Walk the streets and knock on doors. You know, we got to go back to where we started from. I've been through these days. I'm 90 years old, and I'll be damned if I'm going back. And so it's time for us to come together. All this fighting each other, and that's what they want us to do. Just leave all that lawsuit and stuff. Girl, if you got to run a race. Donkins, it hurts me to see a man did 28 years in jail and come out here and still being stomped on. If that don't give you enough energy to run, something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went through Burgon Miller and Jefferson Parish. When he used to come down the street, he was chief of police. When he used to ride down the streets, black men had to run inside because he was too busy grabbing their wives. They want us to go back to that. They want us to go back to that. I'll be damned. And let me tell you, y'all can sit around there, black men, and don't do nothing about it, but it's going back to those days. It's going back to those days. We got to work like hell. We could whip him, all the white folks. And let me tell you this. I work at the jury office. Today I worked down there. They had more white people in jury room this morning, more white with a few blacks. That's the beginning of this jury, putting all our boys in jail. The judges had more white jurors than just a handful of blacks. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to volunteer to do jury duty.
We need them, Miss Roberta, and that's what they don't understand. It makes me so angry when I'm picking a jury and our people are standing up with the excuse why they can't serve. We need them. We need them to be one of the peers in the box to give our people a fair shake.
Do you know I have to turn all those young kids, 18 and 19-year-old, around and tell them you got a reason. You might save somebody's life. Go up there, be a juror. Stop saying you don't want to be a juror.
Yeah.
Go be a juror because you're going to help somebody who's innocent keep from going to jail and do life. This man want to throw us up in Angola on them acres of land he
Don't forget,
got.
he
Please,
said he got
y'all.
18 acres
Please.
of land that he want to be able to put us on.
Yes, Gerard, yes.
Yep.
Miss
So
Roberta,
please, y'all,
what
Susan,
I realized
talk
this
to him,
morning,
please.
Miss Roberta, is I had a conversation with a young paralegal we just hired at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Very intelligent young black man.
Very good young man. Very nice.
Very good. And what we had a conversation today about civil rights and about whether I really thought that he had less civil rights today than I had growing up. And what I realized talking to him is they don't know how to fight for civil rights.
Right.
Because they have never had to do it. So I decided to come on here today to educate people on how to fight for civil rights because these young people don't know how to do it anymore. They've never had to do it.
They need some tutoring. They need somebody to lead
And
the way.
let me tell you, Susan, right quick, Gerard. I went to Baton Rouge. I was up there. Those white Congress, with all the Republicans, they look at you like you stink. You shitty.
Yep.
And what they do, they be on their telephone when all the blacks are speaking. They totally ignore you. Be on the telephone laughing at you. I don't know how we gonna get. Cause you see, we talk about our white folks, the black folks too did this stuff. Don't forget that either.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Roberta, gotta go. We got to go.
We got to fight to save them. Now we out there fighting for them.
Yeah. All right.
I agree with everything you said, Mr. Bird.
And stop cussing on the radio.
I'm going to listen to you every day, and I'm going to make a whole lot of to WBOK. It's
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former Vice President Kamala Harris sharply criticized President Trump and the war with Iran during remarks in Las Vegas.
He's dangerous. He talked about obliterating, and then he said, oh, he did. It's all just...
Speaking to Nevada Democrats, Harris voiced strong opposition to the administration's approach as she continues to signal she may consider another presidential run. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry is defending the state's congressional redistricting after a Supreme Court ruling struck down a majority black district. Speaking on 60 Minutes, Landry said the map must be fixed, even as Democrats push to use it in this year's midterms. And Mary J. Blige is extending her Las Vegas residency after a sold-out opening weekend. 10 new shows have been added at Park MGM from late August through October. Tickets for the new dates are on sale now. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you. Did Mr. Roberta just cuss?
We had to recuperate after that.
She cussed?
I'm gonna say I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure because she was saying so much. I just lost
right.
track.
I'm not sure. Now let me say this, because I don't want us to take the eye off the ball. While we are fighting this fight in our city and in our state, the Republicans are pushing to get 34 states to call a U.S. Constitutional Convention to rewrite the United States Constitution itself. They already have
Constitutional
20.
Convention.
Yes, they already have 20 states, including Louisiana, that have agreed to do a constitutional convention. They need 34. This is not politics. This is a takeover. Okay? We are going to lose our rights. They're talking about repeal of the 14th Amendment. And they're also talking about taking away a woman's right to vote. While we're fighting locally, statewide, and nationally right now for our rights. I need you all to understand just how serious this is. We are in a civil rights movement right now.
Mm-hmm. So what I thought I had to make sure that I did it right. So when you talk about the 14th Amendment, I don't think that a lot of folks understand the 14th Amendment in itself and also understanding what it includes. That includes your birthright citizenship. Meaning, think about the number of people that they have questioned from Donald Trump talking about Barack Obama not being a citizen. That's the 14th Amendment. And if they're going to try the 14th Amendment, and the other part about your birthright citizenship, think about the number of people that have had kids here, which automatically in the Constitution makes them a citizen of the United States. They want to take that away. If you're not born here as the parent, then your child should not be classified as a citizen if they're born here.
So the 14th Amendment begins like this. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This established birthright citizenship and overturned the infamous Dred Scott decision, which had declared that black people could not be citizens. So if they overturn this 14th Amendment, I need you to understand that black people may not be considered citizens.
Yep. All right, let's do this. Let's get to Galloway. Galloway!
What's going on, Brother Gerod?
What's going on?
Oh, no, man. Shout out to your last caller. What's her name, Miss Roberta?
Yeah, she got a little happy, too.
Yeah. Tell her that she's my spirit warrior.
We all understood. And you know
we
what?
Get it.
Yeah, that was all right.
This is particularly hard for them because that generation fought for all these rights that we're now losing. They fought for all these gains that are now being taken away. They're the ones who marched. They're the ones who shed blood. They're the ones who had dogs put on them. They're the ones that were hosed down. They're the ones who had to get up off, and couldn't sit at the counters, had the whites only fountains and the blacks only, bathrooms. They're the ones who lived that experience. And now they're seeing us go back in time. When you see those people start to get alarmed, you should get alarmed.
Yeah. What up?
Yeah, because
Go ahead,
they've
Galloway.
been through it. My bad, cutting you off, Gerard. But
No, go ahead.
They've been through it. They've been through it, and the problem is we don't want to believe what they've been through. Now it's really trying to come into place, and I'm glad you brought up about rewriting America. The Constitution is under siege. They started this last year, and they only had 19 states to join in. So now it's 2026. They get more and more states to come along with this. And this is not for, I'm telling folks, these people want to take everything from you. And it's not all white people across the board, but the ones in power, the ones that are elected into office, they want to take everything from you. I don't know what else to say to people besides if you don't want to participate in this, you want to be a slave. Bottom line, because that's what they want to put you back in Angola or put you in Angola unless you can run and play football or something like that. But, when you mentioned the Divine Nine, Counselor, the Divine Nine has strict rules, codes, and policies, which I've been a member since 1994. Trust me, I know the men of Alpha Phi Alpha are on the ground and they're doing their thing. And it's not being incognito, but you cannot sit there and hold up your crest and your shield and say Alpha's recall for Jeff Landry. But we do have what you call Alpha's vote. I know every election, we do a year out from election, 6 months out from election, 3 months out for election, then that month before the election. We go over just about everything that you talked about. I don't know who's down there actually in charge of this, but where I'm at, I do it all the time. And we do it across the nation. But for us putting on our letters and walking around, no, we're not going to do that. Right. So we actually do make a good, we're very good at getting that stuff. The thing is, what we run into is a lot of people giving false information out about the Divine Nine itself. I'm telling you now, I'm 51 years of age. I pledged when I was 19. Ain't nobody punched me, kicked me, hit me, or none of that stuff. Because I wouldn't be here if that happened. So a lot of rumors that need to be dispelled. But I know we are all the D9 organizations. Even when Kamala Harris first started running, the phone calls started coming out. You didn't see AKAs running with their levers on and having a national convention and saying we gonna endorse Kamala Harris. But she had well over 1 million people. And the same thing is going on in Louisiana. It's just not being exposed, and it don't need to be exposed. But we are here. We are willing and ready and able to mobilize, strategize, and all that other stuff. From security to getting folks to the polls and stuff, we do stuff like that. But I'm glad you brought it up. Maybe it woke somebody up down there. So somebody, hey, so these folks, and y'all know who's in a fraternity and who's not. So these folks down there, get off your behind and do stuff. But I want folks to understand this before I get off here. I'm telling you this. That vote to create this 5-1 district, I believe they only left that one district because they worried about one thing, that money at LSU football, because parents and students are starting to talk now. So they give you one and take away one and say, we left you one. I'm telling you, young black men, young black women, walk away. Go somewhere else where you really appreciate it. Because they're only looking at the value of a dollar. They're not looking for your education. They're not looking for your well-being. And this movement about getting these black students away from the SEC is starting to pick up. I'm telling y'all. It's too many black folks now in positions of power are questioning what are they doing across the South. And just because you give us one, no, we want it all. Because 1/3 of 6 equals what? 2. Now y'all have a good day. Galloway up out of here.
All right there, Galloway.
You know, let me just say this. We did a lot of talking about Project 2025, which was created by the Heritage Foundation in 2024. And Project 2025 was the federal government roadmap to disenfranchise us. I don't know if I talked about Project Esther. Project Esther was also created by the Heritage Foundation in 2024. It's the state roadmap to disenfranchisement.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go read Project Esther if you have not read it. This is what we're living right now. Project Esther on the state level. Okay? I'm still shocked that people who have not yet read Project 2025 or Project Esther, because everything that's happening, they wrote about it. They didn't hide it. It's right there in plain sight for you to go read. I mean, it's a shame they say if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. It's written. Go look at it. Go read it. Because this is exactly what has happened, both written by the Heritage Foundation. So this convention that they're pushing for to change the Constitution on a state level, getting the states involved, is part of this Project Esther movement.
Mm-hmm.
These people are being very strategic. We need to get strategic.
Yeah. All right, T-Bone.
Hey, I'm glad to hear the fire in belly coming out of more people than normally call this radio station. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to see it on the news. But I'm wondering, are there enough people? Because I really need everybody that understands what's going on. I need those old timers like the lady that called that remembers that time to educate the younger people, because that's what they're counting on. That's why they were trying to take a hatchet to our history. That's why they want to throw all this stuff out, because they don't want that younger generation, our kids, our grandkids, to know what in the hell they're trying to pull here. That's what's going on. Now, I'm going to try to get some information. Counselor, I'm glad you're there. You're the perfect person for this question. Can state employees go and sign those recall notices? Because here's what's happening. You have people that work for the state, people that work for the city being told that they cannot do that because they can lose their jobs. Okay. You have people saying that, you arrest a voter, but you can't sign that because it's political affiliation. But see, when they launched that campaign, they didn't say against Republicans. They said recall Landry, period. Period.
So let me give you
asking about political affiliation. So clear that up for me, please.
Yes.
I want to listen.
Let me give you the answer to that. In Louisiana, state employees generally can participate in recall efforts as private citizens, including signing or even filing recall petitions. But there are some important restrictions. The key issue is whether they are acting as a private citizen on their own time are
Yes.
using their governmental authority, public resources, or engaging in prohibited political activity tied to their employment. So let me give you some examples. You work for, let's say, the food stamp office, all right? You can't go through the hours of 9 to, let's say 5 unless you go on your lunch break and you have clocked out.
Right.
If you have a state-issued vehicle, you can't use that state-issued vehicle to bring you to the location. You got to use your
Okay.
private vehicle, okay?
Okay.
You can't post things from your office computer that help the recall effort. You can't, make those calls to help from your office phone. But
Right.
you can act as a private citizen on your own time, okay, to advance the recall effort. But generally,
So-
they may sign recall petitions, support political causes, attend political meetings, volunteer for campaigns, donate personally, as long as they are doing it as a private citizen.
Right. Right. So in other words, like say, let's put it more in younger person's terms. Let's say you work for the state, no matter what agency. You have a social media page. You cannot participate in that type of activity while you're on the clock. If you're going to say something about the recall effort, whether you are for it or not for it, listen to this carefully, folks. You can use your social media after you get off work or when you're not at work. If you work Monday through Friday, you can say it on the weekends. If you're off after 5, you can post it, but you cannot do that while you're on the clock or on a company machine. You cannot use a company vehicle to go to the recall. You can go, but you have to go on your own time, meaning lunchtime. Okay? And that's what people need to know, because guess what? Yes, I work for the state. Yes, I know a lot of people that's spreading this rumor. And I'm like, it's not political affiliation. This is your legal right as a private citizen to have a say in what's going on with our elections. And guess what? They're talking about the 13th Amendment too, y'all. Slavery. The same thing we kept telling y'all with Project 2025. They're looking at all of that. They want the South to rise again. And see, just like those people in Tennessee that's fighting and drew that Confederate flag and burned it, that's the attitude we need to have with these people, because they don't care about us at this point. They've never cared. They're showing their true colors. So we have to stand up for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren to come behind us. Peace.
You just described exactly what we can do as a state employee very well. Just maintain a clear separation between your employment and your activism. Okay? But you can do it. Just don't let them catch you slipping.
Yeah, we're getting messages now that there were more people that were out there today in Algiers and they got turned away because they closed at 5 o'clock. So they got turned away. I would say this, don't let that deter you.
Please don't.
Go back.
Yep.
Because they're going to have other days where they're going to be in Algiers again. And not only that, but other locations around the city. We go where we want to go.
Well,
so I hope that you want to go sign it, whether you did it at Algiers, whether you did it in Gentilly. Hell, go to Chalmette if you have to.
And let me say this. I think we need to help these people out that are working these locations. We could bring them breakfast. We could bring them coffee. We could bring them soft drinks.
Water.
Fans, water. They need help. They need support.
Girl, you bring fans, they're going to start doing boots on the ground.
I meant like a fan, like an electric fan, because it was kind of hot this morning, okay? But we can do things
I'm surprised
to
you even
help
answered.
them.
Why'd you answer him?
Well, I just want to be clear.
Well, they were out there on
No.
Old Gentilly with umbrellas.
But let me tell you something.
Just stare
I'm
at
not opposed to people having a good time outside of these locations. If that's what we need to do
that's
to
what we need
draw
to do, we do
people
it.
out there, that's what we do.
Yep.
If we need to get a DJ to come out in front of the building, we need to do that. If we need to have whatever we need to have, we need to do it, because we need to get people involved. And maybe that's what we need to do to get our young people activated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Miss Matthews. Hey, Miss Matthews.
Yeah, good afternoon, Gerard,
How you
Attorney
doing?
Veterinarius and Wick. I just wanted to say that I agree with you. To me, the bigger picture is it's about voter disenfranchisement because as far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't have to be having a special election. I said, really, if the city council had gotten together and did just like the citizens did, went up there to Baton Rouge to voice their displeasure with them getting rid of an office that the people voted for, then we wouldn't have to be spending more money on the election and having some special person to fill the clerk's office. It should have been stopped earlier. To me, they could have taken a more active role where, it wouldn't have even come down to this. And to me, I see this as a distraction as far as drawing another election. No, it's not about having another election. It's about we elected the people who we wanted to fill these positions, and that's what we should be fighting for, those positions. Then the other thing I wanted to say, we must maintain a spirit of unity. I said because, of course, they are going to try dividing and conquering us. I was saying, as far as Gary Chambers, we don't know why he got off the committee. But what we do know is that
Gary
he
Carter.
did do. Yeah, Gary Carter, I'm sorry. That he did do his part. And I'm saying as people and citizens of this state, we need to do our part. Well, whatever that part may be. But the main thing is for us to try to maintain a spirit of unity and fight because, this is shameful, And like Ms. Roberta was saying, I can remember a time, too, when, things were discriminatory. And so we must fight it. Nobody wants to go back. We want to go forward in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, Miss Matthews. Thank you, dear.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
I just wanted to say right quick, there is a place in Hammond now. Today, it just started at 4:30 at the Mixon Clayton Foundation, 902 West Coleman Avenue in Hammond. It will be there until 7:30. So it's 4:30 to 7:30 in Hammond for those of you on the North Shore that can hear us.
Mm-hmm.
That's great information, Wick. I just want to remind everyone tomorrow, tomorrow's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Chicken's Kitchen, 921 Peters Road, Harvey, Louisiana, from 12 to 4 p.m. Friday, American Postal Workers Union, AFL-CIO building at 4072 Old Gentilly Road in New Orleans, from 10 to 3, and from 1 to 6, 2320 Drusilla Lane in Baton Rouge. So let's get out there. Let's go where we can go. Let's get this petition signed. We have 180 days, folks.
It's not 180 anymore.
Well, it's right. It's 100 and, I don't know, 73?
It started this
100
Monday.
100 and...
Didn't it start this Monday?
Yeah, it started Monday.
So out of that 180 days, you're down 3. So we're at 177?
177 days. We need a thing
Just a
we
calendar.
turn, a calendar
Yeah.
we turn. We have 177 days to make this happen. Okay? Look, taking an hour or 2 out your day to go do this, when people bled, died, fought for these rights, is a little to ask.
So one of the things, too, I don't want us to forget, because this is overshadowing something that is real important, that this weekend is Election Day. May 16th is voter day. You need to, if you didn't vote early, and especially if your vote was voted early and they're saying we're going to take it away, which was what, 42,000 votes? And
45.
Was it 42 or 45?
45.
Okay, so we got Landry saying that he's not going to turn those votes in. They're going to discard.
He's going to discard him. Like he needs to be discarded.
So I don't think that he can discard votes.
No.
I'm not certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's filing suit on that one.
I think they are.
Yeah.
And
but I will tell everybody that this weekend, I think polls will open up at 6 o'clock. I definitely want you to get out and go vote.
Polls open at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
and they close at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
On the ballot, we have the municipal primary for the judgeships. We have a election for the judge of Civil District Court Division M. There's a race between Stephanie Bridges and Richard Perk. Stephanie Bridges is a black female Democrat. Richard Perk is a white male Democrat. We have a race for the judge of Civil District Court Division N. It's Cheryl Howard, who is a black female Democrat, versus Elroy James, who is a black male Democrat. We have a judgeship for Criminal District Court Section J. It's John T. Fuller, a black male Democrat, versus Andre Godin, a white male Democrat. We also have the U.S. Senator race for the Democratic Party. The race is Nick Albaris, a Democrat who's a white male. Gary Crockett, a Democrat who's a black male. Jamie Davis, a Democrat who's a black male. And I would still, because it's still going to be in the booth, there's a U.S. Representative 2nd Congressional District race. Troy Carter, a black male Democrat. Renata Honey Collins, a Democrat who says other and female. I would still go ahead and vote for it. We don't know what's going to happen.
No, we don't know what's going to happen. But,
so go ahead and vote.
And don't forget those amendments.
Yes, there are several amendments on the ballot. And everybody's been told, well, we've been told to vote no.
Everybody's been told to vote no.
Now, here's a little tidbit of information that I'm reading right now. Says, do not sign any petition not certified through the Louisiana Deserves Better team. So obviously they have people out there with fake fake petitions.
And those ones online. That's a petition. That's an online petition.
Yeah.
It's not the recall petition.
You can go to the website called Louisiana Deserves Better, and you can get a listing of all of the locations that have been approved by the Secretary of State.
Yeah. All right, y'all, we'll take a break here. We'll come back with more in just a minute.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Bobby Wagner is a Super Bowl winning linebacker and one of only 3 to record 2,000 tackles or more. But even though he's super talented on the field, he knew when he entered the league that football was just one part of his journey.
Football was going to be a really big avenue for me, and football was going to be something that made me wealthy, but I knew it wasn't the end goal.
Instead, Wagner has put the wealth and access football has given him to use in the world of business. One of his most recent big investments didn't take the longtime Seattle Seahawks player too far from home. He's recently bought himself a stake in the WNBA's Seattle Storm.
I've been connected with Seattle for a long time, and I've watched the Storm. The Storm has been doing that thing for a really, really long time. So not just like from a championship perspective, but when you're in the city, they do a lot of good in the community.
Wagner's part of a growing number of current and former players that are moving into the ownership ranks. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
It's deck days at Lowe's, and the savings are stacked. Right now, pros get 15% off all in-stock composite decking from top brands like Trex, TimberTech, and Decorators. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt tool. The deck's stacked in your favor with brands pros trust. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty. It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Let's be clear about what just happened. The hardline conservative Republican governor and his supermajority Republican buddies in the state legislature have declared open political warfare on the city of New Orleans' voters. particularly Democrats, and specifically the African American electorate. They recently demonstrated their contempt for the city by the cruel hoax played on Black Democrat Calvin Duncan, the duly elected clerk of Orleans Parish Criminal District Court. The Landry Coalition passed a law to eliminate the criminal court clerk's office, folding it into the civil clerk's office, arguing that unlike the rest of the state, New Orleans has one too many clerks of court. In his unsuccessful bid to keep his job, Duncan filed suit, leading to federal intervention, which allowed him to take off. Many of us then breathed a big sigh of relief, only to be stunned again when Governor Landry got a ruling from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals which locks Duncan out of office for the time being. Critics have labeled this as a vicious partisan attack to disenfranchise black voters in Orleans Parish, a blatant power grab by Baton Rouge conservatives to reverse a local election. And in an apparent move to expand their reach even further, GOP conservatives appear to have their fangs sharpened to gut the black vote statewide. The supermajority Republican state legislature is now poised to eliminate one or both of the two majority black legislative seats, after the conservative majority U.S. Supreme Court ruled that creating districts along racial lines is unconstitutional. Veterans of the civil rights movement say the ruling undermines the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which was established to give blacks and other minorities fair representation. Bottom line, it's time for blacks and others to take off the blinders, develop some strategies to counteract the conservative move to seemingly force us back to Jim Crow 1950. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Step back in time and experience the moments that shaped our world at the National World War II Museum, located in the heart of the Warehouse District in New Orleans. This world-renowned museum brings history to life, telling America's story in the war that changed everything, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. From immersive exhibits to powerful personal stories, this is more than a museum. It's an experience. Plan your visit today at nationalww2museum.org. World War II Museum, where history lives.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org, heart of the city.
Our power bill's up again.
Oh, feels like everything costs more these days.
I saw Mark Wright and John Young are running for the Public Service Commission. Could they help?
The PSC controls our electric bills. Definitely not.
Why not?
Well, Mark Wright wrote the law raising Louisiana's sales tax to the highest in America. Then Wright took thousands from utility companies he'd regulate. Even tried letting politicians use campaign cash on fancy perks. And the other guy, John Young, backed a $22 million property tax plan.
So both have a record of making folks pay more, and now Wright and Young want to take control of our power bill.
Unfortunately.
Sounds like Mark Wright and John Young are wrong for the PSC.
Very wrong.
Paid for by Fair Rates First, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. FairRatesFirst.com.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you, along with the attorney extraordinaire, Suzette Bagnaris. Fired up and ready to go.
You know, G, we are living through a moment that many people still do not fully recognize for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is not simply another political disagreement. It is not merely partisan fighting. It's not about one office, one lawsuit, or one election. We're in the midst of a modern civil rights movement centered around political power, representation, voting rights, local autonomy, race, and democratic participation.
You know, I did something. I'm trying to figure out what year was this. But I know my audience is going to call and tell me because a lot of them showed up. When there was so much despair going on in this city, I called for a march and led that march. I know Al Mims was there. I know, let me see who else was there. I know all my folks from the NAACP was there. I can even remember Mookie. Mookie, for those of you, God rest his soul, Mookie used to take all the pictures. Mookie just showed up and said, bro, I'm going to take pictures for you. And Mookie put those pictures on Facebook. I still have those photos. And it was amazing to see the hundreds of people that showed up because we were talking about, you know, this city and fraud and waste and despair happening here. And folks just showed up because they had enough. The police department was so concerned that we had the people from SOD, Special Operations Division, to come up to me and said, we need to talk to you. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Said, it has come across that there might be some folks that are going to try to do some harm to you. And we'd like to put an undercover plainclothes police officer with you, which, you know, he was right there beside me. Plus, they had the intelligence running down the canal, the streetcar, riding, taking pictures. And they had the motorcycle, all the motorcycle folks riding the motorcycles, making sure that, you know, nobody was jumping in the way. And we were all the way down from the aquarium to City Hall. Now, my thought, let's bring that back.
We need a march, and maybe it needs to be called Better Together because we need a coalition.
Bring everybody together to City Hall and have tables there where folks can sign up and do what they got to do to get their names on the roll.
I'm here for it. You know, every generation experiences its own version of the struggle over who gets heard, who gets represented, who gets to exercise power in America.
Mm-hmm.
And for previous generations, the fight looked like segregated schools, literacy tests, poll taxes, redlining, exclusion from juries, and outright voter suppression. Today, the battleground looks a little different. It's redistricting battles, dilution of voting power, attacks on local control, elimination of elected offices, manipulation of election structures, criminalization of protest, and battles over who controls institutions. The methods evolve, but the underlying struggle over access, representation, race, and power remains. And what makes this moment especially important is that people are beginning to recognize the patterns are not isolated instances. It's an agenda to disenfranchise. And they are asking, you know, what can we do next? And I think a march, as you have suggested, is a great way to mobilize a broad-based coalition that shows that we are better together as a community, we are united, and we are going to take control.
All right, let's talk to Mac. Mac.
Hey, what's going on?
You the man, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain. I was out there on Old Gentile Road today. I was in line, I guess, for about an hour and a half. They had a lot of people out there. The camaraderie was pretty good. Everybody was trying to help each other, make sure that they had the voter registration stuff and everything like that pulled up on their phone. Some people had the cards and everything, and they even had people going in the line checking so that when you got up there, all you had to do was sign and everything.
Oh, okay.
So they got it moving pretty good. The only thing was they only had like three or four ladies actually doing the signing up, and so that's what I think slowed things down. But once those other people started doing some of the verification for them, and you didn't have to, by the time you got up there to do the signatures and everything, things started moving pretty fast. So everything worked out good.
It must have been a lot of folks for you to be in line for an hour and a half.
Oh, there was a lot of folks out there, and the line constantly kept, getting bigger. But like I said, once they started moving, it kind of, because like when I first got there, man, for like the first 35 minutes, the line looked like it wasn't hardly moving at all. But then all of a sudden the line started moving, so I think they got a little bit more organized with how they were going about doing it and everything. They had water out there for people who wanted water. They had ice and things like that. So, they're trying to get everybody to do this and get on board with it. But as soon as I heard about it, man, I was down for it because, like I said, Jeff Landry should never have been governor. But of course we got more important things to do than the vote. And we've been preaching that since WBOK came back in existence, back when talking back and talking black was the word of the day. That's always been something that has been stressed, but yet and still, we still fighting uphill battle. So hopefully, with what's going on in this country and what's going on in this state, people are waking up, and hopefully it's not too late.
Hopefully, I'm sorry, you went off.
I said hopefully it's not too late.
Yeah, I don't think it's too late. I think that we're right on time. I think that the folks, this is up to us. This is not going to be up to somebody else. And I'm not only just talking to the folks that listen to this show or listen to this radio station every day. I'm talking about the folks that are getting the word that they tired too. And from the camaraderie of black folks, white folks, and any other nationality that is showing up, the word is getting out. And I can tell folks tired.
Yeah, well, they had quite a few people of the other persuasions there. But it wasn't like it was at Howlin' Wolf where, you saw more, looked like you saw more of them in the line than you saw of us at Howlin' Wolf. When I saw those reports from there, and somebody was doing a video from there, and but today it was a lot of our people out there. But I mean, it was mostly people my age and maybe a little younger. But it was but I mean, you had a few younger people out there, but it wasn't as many, and that's what we need to get engaged. So, like Suzette said, maybe we need to have some things with DJs or second line bands out there performing while they doing the sign up. Now, I heard you guys say that they don't want churches to do it because it would mess with their 501(c)(3). But can you do it like in the parking lot or something like that?
Do it on the sidewalk.
I wouldn't do it in the parking lot. I would do it on the sidewalk in front of the church. Right. Do it on the publicly owned sidewalk and not on the church grounds, but it can be done.
Okay. Because I was wondering, because I know like at my church, we have like an overhang, like when the weather's inclement, people can pull up and it's got the ramp and everything. And we could have had people under there, while signing people up, but that sounds like that wouldn't be a good idea.
Let me tell you how it can be done legally, okay? Here's the very important distinction. Individual church members and pastors acting in their personal capacities and not on behalf of the church can sign petitions, participate in recall efforts, advocate for issues, and engage politically. The church entity itself should not be the one sponsoring the drive. Okay, so for example, a church generally should not, hold it on the church grounds, but they can have it on the sidewalk in front of the church because that's publicly owned ground. And they can just put up a sign that says recall petition, but doesn't say, such and such Baptist church recall petition, okay?
Right.
That's how you can do it legally and not jeopardize the 501(c)(3) status of the church.
Okay, well, that's good information. And one other thing, when we went in line, everybody was coming by saying, oh, there's no line over there at Charbonnet. But some people were saying, well, they was going to stay there because they weren't sure if Charbonnet, the one that was at, was near Charbonnet, was actually one that was legal one or if it was a fake one. So some people did go over there.
You said it was a fake one?
That's what some people were wondering. I don't know if it was or not. But people were saying that. So everybody needs to make sure that they're going to the right ones and everything.
Yeah,
like
I
that,
don't think that Mr. Charbonnet would be doing a
well,
fake
I don't
one.
think I don't think it was done on Charbonnet's ground. I think people were saying Charbonnet, but from what I was hearing,
Trust me, we would know if it was Charbonnet. I can say without even picking up the phone and calling him myself, it won't on his property.
Yeah, they later came back and said that it was under the bridge. So, like I said, I'm just hoping that was a legitimate one too.
Well, you can get the actual locations by going to LouisianaDeservesBetter.com, and then you can find a location near you on there. Okay, let's be safe. Let's be strategic. Let's do our research.
Right.
It's listed on here. Tomorrow, Thursday, Chicken's Kitchen, 921 Peters Road in Harvey, and also 7124 St. Claude Avenue in Araby. So it's the one on St. Claude Avenue is from 4 to 6 p.m. The Chicken's Kitchen is from 12 to 4 p.m. And on Friday, the Postal Hall on Old Gentilly Road and Drusilla Lane in Baton Rouge.
Okay, because I saw those, because I got that little thing with where they had all of those that you just mentioned, Suzette. But the one from that was over there on Claiborne and St. Philip, that one wasn't mentioned anywhere, and that's why a lot of people were leery about going over there too. So
yeah. All right, Matt.
But keep up the good work, guys, and we just got to keep fighting the good fight.
Appreciate you, boss, always.
All right, man. Later.
Thank you. Yeah. Miss Anita, hold on. We got to take a break here real quick. We're going to come back, have some more conversation with you in just a few minutes, y'all.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. President Trump is in Beijing for a high-stakes summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, his first visit to China since 2017, and the timing could not be more complicated as the U.S. is now 10 weeks into a war with Iran, and China, which has been quietly helping Iran sustain its military, also holds the unique power to pressure Tehran back to the negotiating table. Virginia Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, issued a stark warning to President Trump in a statement released saying we cannot afford to trade lasting American strength for a short-term political win or to mistake a photo op for real strategic progress, warning the president not to hand Beijing a win just to claim a headline back at home. Trump's approval ratings are at their lowest point. Midterm elections are 6 months away and Xi Jinping knows it, joining Trump on the trip, a powerhouse delegation of American tech and finance leaders. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to all day long.
I'm Cynthia Willard Lewis, and I encourage you to vote Nick Alvarez. He will protect Louisiana families and fight for lower health care costs for everyone. Vote Nick for U.S. Senate.
I'm Nick Alvarez, and I approve this message.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation presents Louisiana Cajun Zydeco Festival. 2 days of nonstop dancing and rhythmic sounds of Southwest Louisiana, Saturday, March 30th and Sunday, March 31st at the George and Joyce Weem Jazz and Heritage Center. Don't miss musical performances by Big Nathan and the Zydeco Cha-Chas, Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band, Donna Angel and the Zydeco Posse, and much more. Doors open at 2 p.m. and music begins at 3. This event is free and open to the public. For more information, visit CajunZydecofest.com.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing. And now we're back in control.
Call now and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-311-5977. That's 800-311-5977. 800-311-5977.
From Gentilly to New Orleans East, WBOK is what New Orleans is talking about. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Miss Anita.
Hey, y'all. How are y'all?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Just got to make this comment. The reason why we in this predicament, partying. This dude suggesting to have a DJ and music. That's the problem with the people in New Orleans now. They want to party too much. There's other ways you could do this without partying. Once you start a party, you're going to start having liquor. You're going to start having wild stuff going on. It's not time for that, okay? Let's do it as is now. You're already organizing. You don't need another party to get organized. No. That is ridiculous for him to even suggest something like that. Then you no. I just can't see that. We in this predicament, you want to go to Saint Scam and you want to second line. I'm all for stuff, but this is not the time for that. No, this is not the time for that. You do that on your own time, not on this time, okay? Y'all have a blessed one.
All right, Miss Anita. Thank you, dear. Nothing to say?
Well, what is it to say? Everybody can have an opinion. I personally think that you have to reach some people where they are. Okay? And it would be nice if everybody just had this desire to be involved in civic engagement and political action. But unfortunately, a lot of our young people don't even understand that we are engaged in a battle for civil rights right now, as the conversation I had 3 hours ago with a 20-something-year-old showed me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if that means that we need to have something at Joe Brown Park and we do make it like something that young people want to come to, then that's what we have to do. Sometimes you got to meet people where they are. Sometimes you can't preach the gospel just inside the church doors. Sometimes you have to go outside the church doors and meet people where they are. You know, it's great that some people are mature enough and in tune enough and understand what's at stake enough to get politically active. But I'm finding that a lot of our young people don't watch the news, aren't following older people on social media, don't know what's going on, and we need to reach them where they are. And when you do start having a conversation with them and educating them on where we were pre-1960 and that we seem to be headed back there, then they get very engaged.
Mm-hmm.
They want to learn. They want to get involved. They just don't know the history. And whose fault is that? That's ours.
So I use that same analogy, and I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Teen Summit, for example.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Teen Summit was not about the concert. Teen Summit was about getting these kids jobs. It was about teaching them how to become grown. It was teaching them about AIDS and HIV. It was teaching them all the different things that you really have not heard anybody really talk about. But I've heard several of their parents walk up to me and say, man, thank you for doing that. But what you heard was everybody talking about, we saw Usher. We saw Tyrese. We saw Cash Money. We saw Master P. We saw them. I'm glad you saw them. But in between all of that pomp and circumstance or all that entertainment, I had Vanessa, not Vanessa, what's her name? The gospel singer. She came in and sat down on the side of the stage and
Tamala Mann?
No. What's the tall one that did the morning show? Open Your Heart. What's her name?
Oh, Yolanda Adams.
Yolanda Adams.
I had a brain fart again. Yolanda Adams came and she sang. But guess what she did? She also sat down on the side of the stage. She sat on that stage and talked to those young ladies about becoming a woman.
Look, one of the greatest lessons, again, I've learned in community organizing over the last 35 years is understanding that you cannot build movements from a distance. You have to meet people where they are, not where you wish they were, not where political consultants think they should be, not only in boardrooms, courtrooms, or formal civic spaces, but reorganization and organization of a political movement begins in churches, in barbershops, in beauty shops, at second lines, at festivals, in housing developments, at church gatherings, on porches, in neighborhood restaurants, and in everyday conversations where trust already exists.
Right.
So if you have to have a situation, an event like Teen Summit, okay, where you are educating young people on the civil rights movement and that we are engaged in a modern civil rights movement now, if that's what it takes, then that's what you do.
Yeah. Let's get these folks because we got to get out of here. Tamika?
Hi, good evening.
What you say? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I can't complain. It's been a great week, a productive week. I went to the town hall meeting at Dillard the other day, and
That's a Troy Carter.
It brought me to tears. I mean, it was a packed room. It was a packed room, and it was positive. It was great to see our people. The rain didn't stop us, so I'm very proud. I know we moving in what seems to be a good direction.
Yeah.
But I did have a comment, and I agree with Attorney Bagneris. You got to meet people where they are. I respect and I appreciate Miss Anita. But Miss Anita, I think what we're trying to strategize is no different from the civil rights movement coming here and you know, meeting up at Dookie Chase. You know, you got to strategize where you can. Everybody's not going to come to the Dillard town hall meeting or, you know, outside the church or on the porch. I think we all have enough networking experience to, like you said, meet the young people where they are. And I think that's why we're not getting such a big turnout for, you know, whether it's the vote or the recall, this, that, and the third. I really just believe that we can do there's different avenues where we can get people to be engaged.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out there and twerk and have a twerk session. No. I'm saying keep it clean, keep it positive. There's nothing wrong with the DJ coming out to play some positive tunes. You know, if there's, you know, a situation, a setup where...
Tamika, if they want to come out and twerk, they should be able to come out and twerk.
Listen, exactly. I agree with you 100%. So I know where you guys got to go, but I think we're moving in a great direction. I also want to say one more thing, Mr. Gerard, because there was one thing that I was disappointed with, but I was so pleased to see our people didn't feed into the game. Mr. Byron Cole, I'm speaking to you, sir. When you come out, be for the cause. Don't come and stir the pot.
Wow.
All of the foolishness and yelling out the derogatory things every time a speaker that you didn't like spoke, that's taken away from our movement. And that's what the press want to see. And I just don't want us to get away from this positive energy that's going on with our people right now. So I want to thank y'all.
All right, Miss Tamika, thank you, dear. Appreciate you much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too, dear. We're gonna do that protest. All right, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. Very good though.
Look, we're on the move. We're headed in the right direction. We're engaged in a civil rights movement.
Yep.
I need everybody to recognize that. This is the time. This is a call to action.
All right, folks, that's gonna wrap it wrap it up for us. We appreciate you for being a part of the conversation. We'll be back on tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.